And then to kill him off in such a bad way, it's like, can we kill off Sledgehammer?
Yeah, fuck them guys, dude. Fuck them.
I thought you were just about to say from a neo-Nazi, and I was like, don't. The sheriff department will put up like the days or the week's mugshots. Bet you're going through that and there's a fucking picture. Why are you so mad about vegetables?
Well, let me tell you, they just sit in a wheelchair all day doing nothing.
Welcome into the Functional Idiots podcast, the dumbest 2 hours in podcasting. My name is Cole, and as always, I'm here with my friend Dylan.
Yo!
Let's just get right into it. Dylan, how are the feelings after the massive dump that the Lions took?
Yeah, not good. Not good.
No bueno. Yeah, that was...
After ending the season like that and then losing both our coordinators, it was... Damn.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit, amongst other things. And before we get into it, if you want to follow us on Twitter, at Fun Idiot Show, if you want to follow or subscribe to us on YouTube, it is Functional Idiots Productions. And if you want to email us, that is functionalidiots podcast@gmail.com. You want to support us on Patreon, which there won't be nothing there this week, but you will get episodes a little earlier than the regular conventional way people listen to podcasts. That is Functional Idiots. I think that's Functional Idiots. It's Functional Idiots podcast as well. Again, it would be so nice if I just, made everything the same, but that makes too much sense. Why would I do that? All of that stuff can be found in the description below, along with our Banger of the Week Spotify playlist, if you want to listen to our shitty Banger of the Weeks. Speaking of shitty, it's that time of year in Michigan, so like 2 weeks ago, it was cold as hell. Like we weren't even flirting with zero because we were below zero. It was cold as hell. And then this past week, it's like, oh, you want fucking like 48-degree weather and bring out the shorts and t-shirts? Here you go. And so my like sinuses have been like all over the place because it's been warm, then it got cold, then it got warm, then it gets cold, then it gets warm, then it gets cold. And my body, I'm pretty sure my body wants to kill itself. But it's like, just make up your mind. What is it going to be? You can't have both. And I'm trying to do both. This is the part of winter where it's like, I wish it would either just be cold or just be warm. Relatively speaking, warm. Like 30s or 40s or that. Like not like all over the freaking place. I mean, it's getting ridiculous.
Like, oh my god! Especially when it comes to like everybody at my work gets sick like all at the same time, and then we get off. But then one person's left being sick, and then they get everybody re-fucking sick.
It just starts
like, oh my god!
It's like a snake eating its tail.
It's like, come on, weather, just figure it out. Shit.
Yeah. It does get annoying. I mean, I got more stories about the weather doing screwy stuff, and that's why we didn't record a podcast episode last week, because I didn't get back until Saturday afternoon from work. Yeah, I was so thrilled about that. It was great. Not. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But first, let's go over what happened. Let's talk about what we did yesterday. So yesterday, so we live in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area. And the weekend we're recording this, which is the first weekend in February, which, by the way, happy Groundhog Day. No, not that groundhog, you sick bastards. Usually the first weekend in February is always the auto show downtown at the DeVos Place, which is a convention center. And so me, Dylan, and my brother went to that. And then after that, we went to a Grand Rapids Griffins game, which is the AHL affiliate to the Detroit Red Wings. And so we're going through the auto show. And of course, we're just kind of like, because the Michigan, they call it the Michigan International Auto Show. It's not as big of a deal as like the Detroit Auto Show, because the Detroit Auto Show is where, especially the big three being Ford, GM, and then technically it's not Fiat Chrysler anymore, but Fiat Chrysler and Dodge, that's where they'll kind of show off their big stuff is at the Detroit Auto Show because that's their home turf. And so the big three will have a presence at the Michigan International or at the one in Grand Rapids. Like Ford will have a little, an area, GM, and which is, Chevy and GMC, and will have their own area. And then they'll have a separate area for Cadillac and Buick. And then Dodge had like a very small area where they had about 3 vehicles there. And so we're just like walking around and just be like, oh yeah, see, that's why I don't like this, because I don't like the look of it and don't like the look of that. So that's not a bad look, and it kind of, as we're talking, the realization came to me that car makers now don't build cars to be reliable. That's not what sells cars anymore. What sells cars now is, do they look good? And generally speaking, good-looking cars aren't reliable, because if you want to make a reliable car, you have to put things in a sensible way where they're not going to be either cut, like wires cut or frayed, or be exposed to the elements and stuff like that. But then your car will look like a freaking brick and ugly as all hell. And so it's kind of you have to have that balancing act of, you have to make it look good because that's what sells cars. But also, too, you don't want it to break down 5 minutes after they drive it off the lot.
Exactly. I don't think you want to break it down. You want it to break down after about a year.
No, you want it to break down at about 60,100 miles, just after the warranty ends. That's as long cars need to last, is just past the factory warranty. And that realization came to me because I'm like, well, if reliability still mattered in cars, BMW would have went out of business years ago. They probably make some of the most unreliable cars in the world. It's next to Chrysler Corporation, but they're not far behind. And to me, now I'm a Ford guy, but I will still call out Ford when they do stupid shit. Like when they redesigned the Ford Escape, what was that, like 2020, 2021, something like that? It looked ugly as all hell. Oh, it looks so stupid. It was like someone's mouth was like an inch lower, and then they were just smiling at all times. It was like, what the fuck is that? It was bad. Thankfully, Ford realized their mistakes, and last year they did a cosmetic refresh and gave it a facelift, and now it actually looks pretty good. And sitting in one, because my mom has a Ford Escape, but it's a 2010, so it was back when it was still like a boxy style, not the sleek style like they are now. Sitting in the Ford Escape that they had there, I was pretty surprised. I was surprised how much room there was in the back seat. Like there was
that. Yeah, that was pretty wild. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, because I sat in the back seat, and then Dylan, I was like, all right, Dylan, because they had that one plugged in so you could move the seat and stuff. I was like, all right, Dylan, put the seat where you want it. And so he put it where he wanted. I was like, hell, I could ride in this, no problem, no problems at all. I mean, there was a lot of room back there.
One thing I did notice is, did you notice how like the back seat was up more?
Yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that's different. Like, the driver's seats are more down, and then the back seats are more up. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. I was surprised at how roomy. Now, I don't know how much was in. They might have moved the back seats back a little bit, and so then you're kind of eating up storage room. And I don't know how much there was space-wise in the back, but I was like, this is not bad at all. And then we didn't go to the auto show last year. But 2 years ago, when they had a 2024 Mustang there, but it was just on display, like it was roped off. You couldn't get any closer than like 10 feet or 5 or 6 feet from it. And this year, and I'm pretty sure last year they did, but this year they actually had a Mustang you can go and sit in. And I have never ridden or driven in a Ford Mustang before. Now, in next week, I go down to Daytona for 2 weeks for the Daytona 500, and I have rented a Mustang convertible. So it'll be the first time I've ever driven a Mustang. And so they had a Mustang there, and I sat in it, and that, how they had it, like the seat like cradled you. And it was almost like sitting on a lazy boy inside the Ford Mustang.
Yeah.
And it was really comfortable and really nice. Like I was almost like, can I buy this now right here? I'll drive it right out.
I do have to say that.
Please.
It was, for a sports car or muscle car, I thought it was going to be, like kind of uncomfortable because you lose comfort,
Well, yeah, but because you would right, but you offset that by it's a Mustang, so it's kind of like that appeal. But it was like this is actually really nice.
Yeah, I was like, damn, this isn't bad at all.
Yeah, now I wouldn't want to sit in the back because your knees are going to be in your throat, but that's just how that's with any two-door coupe, you know. But I said, so being a Ford guy, to me, the best, because obviously now with the American automakers, they don't really make cars anymore. Like Dodge doesn't make cars. They make either CUVs, SUVs, or pickup trucks. I think Chevy still makes either the Impala or the Malibu, but that's it.
The Malibu.
The Malibu. And you might say, oh, they make the Corvette. The Corvette is not a car to me. That is a sports or a hypercar. And same thing with the Mustang. That's not a car. That's a sports car. When I say car, I mean like a sedan. A sedan, like a Ford Fusion, Ford Taurus, or Chevy Impala, or stuff like that. And because now Ford was the first one to do it, I want to say like almost 10 years ago now. They announced, maybe not quite 10 years ago, but probably 7 or 8 years ago, that they were going to stop production of cars, making cars, except for the Mustang and I think a sporty package of the Ford Focus or something like that. And everybody lost their shit. They're like, oh, why would you do that? That is so stupid. You're giving up on the market. Well, guess who's all followed suit? Basically every other freaking car maker, at least when it comes to U.S. cars, because they're like, no one's buying cars. Everyone's buying either SUVs or pickup trucks. We're losing money building the Ford Fusion. So why are we still building the Ford Fusion?
Right.
It's kind of dumb. And so now we can take all those engineering resources and put them over to what our big moneymaker is, which is the F-150 and the Ford Explorer and the Expedition. And to me, the best looking pickup truck is the Ford F-150 because it has that good mix of being square but also rounded. And, you know, it's not like, because if you look at Chevy, to me, Chevy is more like a brick with, you know, very squared off corners and stuff like that. And then Dodge is like the opposite. They're more rounded corners, but they're kind of like, it's too rounded of corners, in my opinion, where Ford still kind of has that boxier look, but they just soften the corners enough to where it looks good. Like, I think it was 2015 when they redesigned the F-150, and that's when they went to the aluminum body and stuff. That's when they went to the straight up and down flat nose, because before they were kind of like, it was kind of angled towards the windshield a little bit. But then in 2015, and it was like a flat nose, and since then they've kept that, and it's looked really good. But I will say though that GM's, either Chevy or GMC, the second best looking truck to me is a GMC. I think GMC, because Chevy, now they've gotten better, but prior to this year, maybe last year, to me, the Silverados looked, from the front at least, look freaking ugly as hell. And especially the heavy duties a couple years ago, because they looked like they had buck teeth. They look dumb as hell. But they've gotten better with it. And then Dodge is still down on the bottom cosmetically and also mechanically wise, because, well, it's a Stellantis product. There's nothing reliable about that.
Yeah, fuck Dodge.
Yeah. So, but it was fun walking around. They have what they call their $1 million motorway. Now, a few years ago when we went, they had a lot cooler cars than the $1 million motorway.
Oh my god, dude! I said that to Brianna last night because she asked me. She's like, "So how was it?" I was like, "It was all right. They didn't have nearly as cool as cars." And she was like, "Well, why did you go?" I was like, "Oh, because I wanted to see, you know." And I'm like, "Because." It's only Colton invited me, like the fuck.
Well, it's only $12, and really, it's you know, we just kind of bullshit when we go around, you know, like, oh, sit in cool cars, whatever shit we can't afford. No, it's cool, but yeah. A few years ago when we went the first time, I think in 21, they had way cooler cars, and like they actually had like Ferraris and really cool Aston Martin. I think they had a Lamborghini. This year they had like a Lexus. It's like, really, that a fucking Lexus is on the $1 million motorway. The only cool car they had was the Aston Martin Vanquish with a V12. That was a cool car, but that was it. That was the only cool car in the $1 million motorway. Everything else was like, yee.
Yeah.
But and then so that was, you know, we had our fun there, and we left there and we went to Buffalo Wild Wings for dinner before we went to the Griffins game because it's right next to Van Andel Arena. And we're in there, and we're all decided, it's like, well, okay, do we just want to order separate, or do we just want to order, like, a big thing of wings and then get, like, 3 or 4 different sauces and then just do all that? So that's what we decided on. We got a set of boneless and a set of bone-in wings, and some with this sauce, some with that sauce, or whatever like that. And we get done eating, and Riker, we're sitting there, and he must have taken I'm gonna take the side of the stupid opinion pill that day, because then we got into the subject of the Justin Tucker sexual assault allegations that came out. What was it, like last week or something like that?
Yeah.
And he was saying that how Justin Tucker could sue the. Well, hold on, let me. If you don't know, so initially six women came out claiming that Justin Tucker sexually assaulted them from, like, what was it, 2014 to 2016 or something like that, or I don't remember the years exactly. But then another three women came out, and those three women all worked at the same massage parlor in Baltimore, whatever it was, Happy Ending Spa or whatever the fuck it was called. And Riker, my brother was saying that Justin Tucker could sue the company of the three workers that are suing him for defamation. I'm like, well, how do you figure? He's like, well, if those three if the company says, if the company says do it to the employees and they go sue Tucker for sexual assault, but it turns out false, Justin Tucker can go back and sue the company for defamation. I'm like, no, they can't.
Right.
They can't, because the company, just because the company says we will support our workers, we'll give them our full support of our legal team or whatever, and then it ends up being false, that doesn't mean the company necessarily was defaming Justin Tucker. They were just supporting their own workers. And Justin Tucker can't sue them for defamation. Now, he can sue the Baltimore Banner, who's the news outlet that broke the story initially, for defamation, if it turns out that the sexual assault allegations were false.
Right.
Then he can sue them for defamation because they are a news outlet. News outlets have a different set of standards compared to the regular Joe public. Because just because Joe Blow is sitting on the corner saying that Kanye West is gay because he likes gay fish, he's a gay fish, like South Park did. South Park is not a news outlet. South Park doesn't have an editorial staff. South Park doesn't hold any weight when it comes to facts amongst the American people. Where versus like the New York Times or the Washington Post or Fox News or ABC News or whoever, a big names news organization, they have a higher standard because when they post, people are going to take as truth because they are a big name news outlet. And so that's where the difference is. And he just would not understand it. He kept saying, well, they could. I was like, no, they can't. As long as a company doesn't come out and start trashing him, he doesn't have a case against them. And even if they do start trashing him, I still don't think he has a case because they're not a news outlet. They're just a company. And he just was not getting it. So eventually at some time there was, because we were waiting until 6 o'clock until the doors opened to get into the ice rink. And my brother, he goes and scans it, like one of those QR code things or whatever on the bar. And so he scans it with his phone. I didn't know what he was doing. I thought maybe he was just looking to see what else they had or something like that. And all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm going to get something for dessert. You want anything? And so I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, he's going to get a cheesecake. I'm like, cheesecake's so overrated. And then I about got slugged by both you and my brother by saying that. But I was like, well, cheesecake to me, it's not all that great, but it has a certain prestige to it. Because when you think of cheesecake, you think of a fancy restaurant. Because a fancy restaurant will always have a cheesecake. And it's like, oh, you went to, Ruth Chris and got a cheesecake. Oh, you fancy ass bastard. It's like, and it's not even all that good. Cheesecake is to begin with. It's not even all that good. So anyways, he says he gets a cheesecake. I saw there was like some chocolate fudge cake or whatever like that. And so then I turned to Dylan. I was like, Dylan, you want anything for dessert? And he's like, what do they got? True fat ass standards right there. They didn't even say yes or no. It's just, what do they got? What's that? That's going to be my first determination. If they got something that sounds good. And then his ass gets some brownie thing or whatever that's prepackaged in a plastic sleeve or whatever. Yeah, I could tell when that came, you were like, what? So disappointed.
Hey, that was a good ass brownie though, I gotta say.
It might have been. My cake was absolutely delicious too, and it came with 2 scoops of ice cream. I'm like, yes, I was true fat ass fashion right there. So we get done at B-Dubs. We go over to the wait in line at the ice rink. And we somehow get onto the topic of Grand Theft Auto or video games in general and how they've gone up from 60 AAA games, that is, have gone from $60 to $70 in the last 4 or 5 years. And I think you said you saw a rumor that GTA 6 they might try to sell for like $100.
Yeah.
Like for the base game, $100 for GTA 6. I'm like, that is absolutely ludicrous. Once again, Mister, I'm gonna take the stupid side today. Comes and he's like, well, no, that's not $100 if it's a new game and it's graphically, great and has a great stuff. No, you don't understand. I don't care. You don't have to spend $3 billion to make a video game. No one's asking you to do that. No one's telling you to do that. Charging $100 for the base version of a game is just stupid as all hell. When you could just make it up in microtransactions. How do you think that Rockstar Games is making all their money from base games of GTA 5 in the last 7 years? No, they've been making it through microtransactions within the game. That's exactly how Activision makes all their money through Call of Duty, is through microtransaction. It's not through game sales. Yeah, they make money, but they make a bulk of their money through the microtransactions within the game. And if one game developer decides, yeah, we're going to charge $100 for a brand new game, a AAA title game, only a AAA title game, even if it was quadruple A, that'd be stupid, but AAA title game, that's just going to open the door for everyone to do it. And you know damn well the first company that would do that after is Activision. Be like, oh, well, it's okay because the precedent's been set. We're going to charge $110 for Call of Duty next year base game. And it'll be even worse. That's been my complaint. It's like we're spending $10 more on Call of Duty games since Cold War. I believe Cold War was the first one that went up to $70. And have the games gotten any better?
No, absolutely not.
They've not. I mean, Cold War was good. It just came out a year too early, which isn't a surprise because it wasn't supposed to come out in 2020. It was supposed to come out in 2021. So we'll give Cold War a pass because it was rushed out because of a change in the schedule. And if you go and play Cold War now, it's actually a pretty good game. So we'll give that one a pass. Was Vanguard good? No, it was not.
I didn't even play Vanguard.
I think my brother bought it. I never bought it. He bought it, and I played it through his account on Xbox. And I was like, I never played the multiplayer. I played the campaign, said this was utter garbage, and never touched the game again. And wished I had those 2 days of my life back from playing the campaign. And then in 2022, you had Modern Warfare 2, it came out, and that was the first half of it was the campaign wise was good, but then it kind of petered off after that a little bit. The campaign did. And I never really played the multiplayer much, so I can't say, but I know if people have complained that the multiplayer isn't all that great. No, we did play the multiplayer in that. I complained about that because, they had a real problem with hacking in that game. I mean, like, every fucking game we'd play, there'd be someone hacking. It was ridiculous. So we just stopped playing the game. So, Modern Warfare 2, the reboot, yeah. Was it worth $70? No, it was not worth the extra $10. Then we had Modern Warfare 3 in 2023. We'll just skip right over that one. We'll talk about this year's games, Black Ops 2024's Black Ops 6. In Black Ops 6, because it was the first Call of Duty game on a 4-year development cycle, it started off good. But then it's gone off a cliff. I don't know what happened. I mean, the game came out, I played the campaign. It was okay. It wasn't a great campaign in my opinion. It was okay.
I thought it was better than what the shit we've gotten, so.
It was better than the previous 2 years, maybe equivalent to Modern Warfare 2, not as good as Cold War though. And the multiplayer started off good. Like, the multiplayer was actually pretty good. I never really had a problem with hackers. per se. I'm like, yeah, you'd see, you'd watch a kill cam because you're like, okay, how the hell did I die? And you watch the kill cam and there's some dude shooting you through the school bus on Nuketown. It's like, how does that fucker even know I'm there? He's clearly hacking.
Right.
You'd have that. But it wasn't bad. I know if people have complained that there's a problem with hackers. I'm like, I've not seen it in the game a lot. The Omni movement felt good and stuff like that. But then it just kind of like, it's like they sold the game. They got to season 1 of the battle pass. And then it was like Treyarch's entire development team just like was like, all right, time to go on break, and just stopped developing the game in a good way. Like everything they put in there since then has been absolutely trash. And then now, because I bought it on PC because I have a freaking bomb-ass PC right here, I was like, yeah, I want good graphics, get 160 frames per second. I can't even play the game anymore because it keeps crashing because I have a DirectX fatal error or some shit. So I can't even play the game anymore. And I haven't even tried in the last 3 weeks to see if they fixed it because I'm so pissed off by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
And, I mean,
Treyarch.
yeah, and I don't think any of us have played the game either. I mean, I haven't seen my brother play it. I mean, you probably haven't. It was like none of us have played it since we all kind of just stopped playing it like a month ago. And it's not just us. If you actually look at their player retention, it's hard because they don't post that you have to kind of, people have dug through and it's kind of a guesstimate thing. But basically player retention has like fallen in half from like even just December or end of November. Half the amount of players are playing the game, which is not good. Not good at all. And it started out good, and it just, again, we're paying an extra $10, and it's not a remarkably better game. Relatively, compared to, I mean, obviously not every game's going to be the original Modern Warfare or the original Modern Warfare 2, which was the best campaign hands down ever done in Call of Duty. It's not going to be like the first 2 Black Ops games. It's not going to be, I guess you could say, the whole original Modern Warfare trilogy, or World at War. I understand that every game can't be that good.
Right.
But also too,
it's got to be better than a piece of shit.
We cannot put out games like Modern Warfare 3 that came out in 2023. That is a disgrace. We cannot put out games like Vanguard. We cannot put out games like Cold War that are broken as all hell at launch. We can't put out games like it was in the early to mid 2010s, like Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 4 that didn't even have a campaign. Like, we can't put out games like that. Yet now you're asking us for $10 more
for games that are,
and we're still getting the same
worse.
shit. And we're still getting the same shit, if not worse. What are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, I had so high hopes this year that Black Ops 6 was going to be good because I'm like, they have an extra year of development. It should be really polished, like very few bugs. Like every game's going to have bugs in it. It's impossible to get a bug-free game. That's not possible at all. But it should have like no bugs. It should be really good development-wise. The guns and the movement should all be good because they've had an extra year of development. And it was like the first month, this is great. And then it's been like, this is fucking terrible. What are we doing?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And then, don't get me wrong, I do think that GTA 6 is going to be, probably game of the year or whatever.
It probably should be. If it's good.
At the same time, it's just like, you have so many people waiting for it that $100 price tag is going to be like little to no difference with a $70 price tag.
Well,
because you're going to have the same amount of people. Like, you're still going to make millions, even billions of dollars off this game.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. But at $100, you're going to sell less copies.
Exactly.
Because you're going to have people that are just, like, they might want to buy, like you said, you would love to buy GTA 6, but if it's $100, you would not buy that game. And I wouldn't either, because you're promoting the aspect that we're okay with buying a $100 AAA base standard game. That, like, no, we do not need to open that Pandora's box.
Exactly.
And to me, if you want to, obviously, how you sell, I mean, if Rockstar wanted to sell or have the game with the most copies ever, they'd make it free. Well, obviously they can't make it free, right? They would go bankrupt. So, but I understand it's a balancing act between you want to set the price at a point where you can at least remake your money on it, but also you want to set the price low enough to where a lot of people buy it because, again, where does most of your actual money from the game come? Microtransactions. And the more people you have the game downloaded and are playing the game, the more likely you are to make money through microtransactions. If you charge $100 for the game, yeah, you might make the same amount of money if you sold it at $70. So your actual sales revenue dollars might be the same, but your units sold will be less. And overall, you'll make less money because there's less people to pay for microtransactions than if you sold it at $60 or $70. Really should still be at $60. And I don't know what the budget for GTA 6 is. I'm sure it's probably well over $1 billion for a budget and probably even close to $2 billion to make the game. I mean, I saw because I said this to you yesterday because the voice actors of Black Ops 6 are suing Activision because of the AI thing and stuff like that. And because of the discovery process and stuff like that, the budgets for the previous Call of Duty games came out. Black Ops 6 had a budget of like $800 million. $800 million
that's
for a
crazy.
Call of Duty game. And like 6 years ago, it was like $350 million. So it's more than doubled in the last half decade in the budget. And the games are getting worse. So we're spending double the amount of money and putting out worse shit. Like I can't even fathom that. It's to the point now where it's like if you actually want to play good games, you go to Steam and you buy the $5 or $10 indie games, and they're actually good.
Yep.
You don't buy anything from the big developers anymore because now they are just in cash grab mode. Make the game just good enough to sell enough copies to where you can make $2 billion in the first 3 months of the game. It's annoying. It is so annoying. I mean, hopefully Rockstar, because their last game was Red Dead 2, right? And that came out in like 2018. I want to say.
When?
Red Dead 2. I think that came out in 2018.
It might have came out a little later than that. Let me look it up.
Okay. Regardless, they have not come out with a new game in quite a few years.
Yeah, 2018. Holy
2018.
fuck.
Okay, so it's been 7 years since their last new game that they came out with, and it's been over 10 years since the last GTA game because GTA 5 came out in like what 2013 or 2014.
2013.
Yeah, so
12 years ago.
It's going to be well over. It's going to be 12 years because GTA 6 is supposed to come out this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be 12 years between the GTA releases, but they haven't had a game in the last 6 years. So they're like the last. To me, they're the last hope that they are going to put out a good game, not absolutely rape over the gaming community for the price, and have it to where it's just microtransactions like EA style everywhere. And I think if they can do that if GTA 6 is actually really good game, and they charge $60 or $70 for the base game, what a regular AAA title is now, charge regular amount. It's a fantastic game, and they, if it's fantastic, they'll make a bunch of money on it. They'll sell a bunch of copies. Hopefully, that'll be a wake up call to the other gaming community or game developers that. You can still you have to make good games if you actually want to make more money. You think you're making a lot of money now? Imagine if you made a great game.
Exactly. Oh my God, who would have thought?
I know, right? You'd actually make so much more money. And I think the special part about Rockstar is that they haven't had a new game in 7 years. And so they're not trying to pump out a new GTA game every year. Or every 3 years if you're a Call of Duty developer. But a Call of Duty game comes out every year. And you can see that GTA 5, obviously, is the best, probably the best, if one of the better, if not the best, Grand Theft Auto games. Red Dead 2, arguably, as good, if not better, than the original Red Dead Redemption. And so they're actually doing good, making good games as they continue on. They're just not in cash grab mode. If they were in cash grab mode, they wouldn't even be making GTA 6 because they still make hundreds of millions of dollars over GTA Online. And that's basically how they've sustained themselves for the last few years, is just through Grand Theft Auto Online.
Yeah.
Through, guess what? Microtransactions. So I hope Rockstar can save the big AAA gaming developers, or just gaming as a whole, by putting out a good game, not fucking over the community, asking $100 or $80 or $90. Even, I mean, if it was me, if I was them, I'd be like, no, what? No, we're gonna go back to $60 because that's where AAA games should be. Is at $60. Go back to $60, and then you'll blow Call of Duty's fucking sales figures out of the water. So we'll just have to wait. It's probably going to come out in the fall, because that's obviously the big time. You know, that's why Call of Duty always comes out in October and November, because that's when big sales numbers are. So we'll just have to wait and see. Now, if you think about it, you would think that maybe the big gaming developers would kind of be having a wake-up call over the fact that Ubisoft, they have Assassin's Creed, I don't even know what the fuck it's called. A new Assassin's Creed game is coming out. And it was supposed to come out in like this past November, and it got pushed to like February, and now it's been pushed to like March or April.
For what?
The new Assassin's Creed game.
Oh, yeah.
And from what I've heard, if that game isn't a success, Ubisoft is going to go bankrupt. Because when was the last time Ubisoft made an actually good game?
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, something like that.
And how long ago was that? I mean,
we're about to find out. Assassin's Creed. It might have been. Fuck. What's the Viking one? Valhalla? Maybe.
Valhalla.
Maybe that.
The new one
It came out in 2020.
The new ones is Assassin's Creed Shadows. So we'll say Odyssey is probably the last good Assassin's Creed game.
That came out in 2018.
That came out in 2018.
But here's the thing.
7 years ago.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla, people complained about it not being an Assassin's Creed game. The last true Assassin's Creed game that did well, if you want to get it'd probably be Assassin's Creed 2 Brotherhood. And that came out in 2010.
But if we just look at it overall, the last big, or Valhalla came out in 2020, but that was a step below Odyssey. Odyssey was kind of like the last up top, A or S tier Assassin's Creed game. And then now it's been shit after that. And it's not just Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft has come out with Far Cry 6, which was a Far Cry from the original games.
Damn.
And they've come out with other games. Like, they came out with a pirate game where they made the whole game, except they forgot to add the pirate bit. And it was the first quadruple A game, because technically how the AA, AAA, quadruple A thing works, it's by how much the budget is. But to me, even though they spent $800 million to make Call of Duty 6, it might be in quadruple A territory. It's still only a AAA game to me. To me, it's still just a Call of Duty game. That's a AAA game. I don't care if you spent $2 billion. It's a AAA title. And so the pirate game, I don't even remember what it was called, was the first quadruple A game, and it flopped big time because, like I said, it was a pirate game without the pirate stuff in it. So then what's the fucking point of it? So they lost their ass in that. And there's been other games that Ubisoft has lost their ass on. And so it sounds like Assassin's Creed Shadows is like their last grasp or the last straw if they can stay around and stick in business without either having to have a government bailout or a big influx of money from an investor who believes they can turn the company around. And I think I don't want game developers to lose their jobs. because I don't think the reason why games are bad is not because of the developers. I think the developers are creative. They want to do stuff. They just aren't allowed to use their creativity by upper management because it's going to take too long or cost too much money. So neuter it down, make it basic. It'll be easier, and we'll still sell, we'll only sell 5% less copies, but we'll still make more money. And so I'm going to feel, if Ubisoft does go belly up, I would feel terrible for the employees, but I think that needs to happen. We need a big name gaming developer to go bankrupt. To send a wake-up call to the rest of the industry. Like, you need to turn your shit around. Like, we're not just a automatic yes man when it comes to your IPs. Unfortunately, Call of Duty is. Call of Duty will always make money. Even Modern Warfare 3 made money because they sold enough and they made enough through microtransactions. But if you stop making good games, we're just not going to buy them. We'll just not buy them. And that's what needs to happen. Anyways, you were going to say something, what?
So, people got pissed about Assassin's Creed Shadow because one of the main characters is a black guy. But it's based on fact that there was a black samurai.
Yeah, it's a samurai game. People got upset over that, but then I think they realized, oh no, that's actually based in fact.
Yeah.
But no, what upset was because they had like an alpha or a beta or something like that, like last year sometime. And obviously samurais are Japanese. Yet the entire setting was South China. How do you fuck that up? You're making a samurai game, which is Japanese, yet your whole play and structures and infrastructure, whatever you want to call it, your setting is South China. So they're basically just saying, once you've seen one Asian, you've seen them all. Like, there is a difference between Chinese stuff and Japanese stuff when it comes to their building style and stuff like that. And they fucked that up. They fucked that up. And so it's already not, they've already pissed off people before the games even come out.
You said it was set in China?
No, it's the game is a samurai, based on a samurai, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
An assassin, yeah.
An assassin, yeah, right. But what are samurais?
Japanese.
Yet the style of the game was Chinese.
My guy, it's set in feudal Japan.
Right, but if you actually, the setting, like the style of the buildings are Chinese, not Japanese, is what I'm getting at. Like the actual style of the architecture of the buildings are Chinese and not Japanese. And there's a difference between Japanese and Chinese architecture from ancient times. So
all right, hold on, I'm looking up both of them.
They've already screwed that up. I mean, there might not be a ton of difference between the two because yes, it's still generally the same part of the world, but there's still enough in there for people to recognize me. Like that's not Japanese architecture from whenever samurais were around in the 14, 13, 1200s, whatever the fuck it is, whatever time period the game is set.
My guy.
What?
They look almost identical.
What does?
The architectural supposed differences between feudal Japan, because that's what it is, and feudal China architecture. They look almost exactly the same.
Why am I having a tough time spelling today? They're not the same.
What are you looking at?
Stylistically, well, first of all, if you spell feudal wrong, you might get. If you spell it right, I'm saying you might get better options on Google. I'm like looking it up. I'm like, why am I getting like this isn't right? Oh shit, I spelled the word feudal wrong. That's why.
And if you look, I'm looking at the Assassin's Creed setting. It doesn't really seem like they made it into a like Chinese era. style buildings. They look like they took Japanese style buildings. Because I think the main difference between the Japanese style and the Chinese style is...
Do you want me to tell you what AI says, the Gemini AI and Google says?
What?
Okay, so while both feudal Japan and China utilized wood construction, because obviously steel wasn't a thing back then.
Right.
Well, it was, but not in, you couldn't just roll up to U.S. Steel. I'll take one coil, please. Architectural differences lie in Japan's emphasis on minimalist aesthetics with more open spaces and flexible interior design due to like sliding doors and different stuff like that.
Oh.
While Chinese architecture leans towards grander, symmetrical structures with ornate details and a focus on enclosed spaces and hierarchical planning, often incorporating more elaborate decorative elements. So it's they say that this distinction largely stems from the cultural differences and Japan's need to adapt to earthquake-prone conditions, obviously, with building lighter, more flexible wooden structures. If you build a freaking brick wall and an earthquake comes through, and that's no longer going to be a brick wall. It's going to be rubble on the ground.
Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense that Japanese would be more open and stuff like that. And I'm looking at a screenshot from the game, and it seems like that's exactly what it is. Like, it has 3 details to it: redwood, greenwood, and the curved top, and that is pretty much it. Everything else is like a basic walkway or entrance.
So the key points under Japanese, primarily wooden structures with exposed wood, elevated floors to allow air circulation, large roof overhangs, sliding doors for adaptable space, minimalist design with less ornamentation.
Yes, that for sure.
Adapted to earthquakes with flexible construction techniques. Chinese architecture's emphasis on symmetry and balance.
Let me look at a Chinese one. Okay, go ahead.
More emphasis on symmetry and balance. More ornate details and decorative elements. Basically, the outside. The outside has more stuff to it. Again, because they don't have to worry about heavy objects or they're in an earthquake.
Oh, definitely. Holy shit, yeah, definitely.
Larger, imposing structures. Walled compounds with carefully planned layouts, so like the actual compound itself. And use of stone alongside wood in certain constructions. Again, because they don't have to worry about earthquakes nearly as much.
Yeah, so I'm looking at both of them. You can definitely see
there's a difference between the two.
Assassin's Creed seems like they've got the right setting. I don't think it's like.
Then they might have fixed it, because when it was in the beta, it was more towards the Chinese.
Well, okay, the whole premise
beta
of
or alpha,
Assassin's Creed is you're gonna go into cities, right? I don't think Japan had a lot of big cities. Like, I'm talking like...
You tell me Tokyo had a population of 33 million back in feudal Japan?
It did?
No, it didn't.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm saying you're saying that there was no Tokyo back then? What?
No, I'm saying that there was Tokyo and stuff, but I don't... Obviously, you know, your population's going to grow, exponentially over the years, but... Assassin's Creed, they make it to where you're able to feel like you're part of the city, just not, as small as what it would be historically accurately.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they did the same thing with Assassin's Creed 3. You think that some dude that's going to walk into a store... Because they dealt with, racial tensions and stuff, but...
Yeah.
And you play as a Native American, and they're like, oh, if you go in there, they might think you're Latino. And it's like, you hear him speak, and it's like, what shop owner is going to see, someone who speaks fluently in the English language as a Latino without an accent?
A racist.
Exactly, a racist. Which, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if dude was like, yeah, this guy's Latino.
Yeah,
chill out, dude.
You gonna make me a tamale?
But,
so if you want to know, the feudal period in Japan is generally considered to be between 1185 and 1603 AD. So about 400 or so years, a little over 400 years.
And the whole thing with, the dual protagonist thing, I don't mind that idea. Games have done it before.
I
God
don't
of
mind-
War's done it.
I don't
Last of
mind
Us
it.
has done it.
I don't mind that at all as long as you do it right.
Yeah.
You know, if you do a dual protagonist, the hard part with dual protagonist is that when you do the main protagonist, like it is in Call of Duty, right? You just generally play, especially as it's been late, you only play one character. It's hard. And I get there's difference between Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty. Call of Duty is not as story based as Assassin's Creed is.
Right.
But if you do dual protagonists, now you have to have two good stories. Because you can't just take, you can't just take the same effort you would have put in for one good story and cut it in half. Because then you'll just have two mediocre stories. You need it's harder because now you have to have two good stories. You have to put in double the effort. But it can be done right. Games have done it, games have done that in the past and they've done a good job of it. You just don't see it often because it's very difficult to do properly. Any game can do dual protagonists, but not every game has done it good. So we'll see. I think the game comes out in a month, a little over a month or so, beginning of March or something like that. And it sounds like if it doesn't do well, Ubisoft is going to go and we're no longer going to be making video games. So it's just, we'll see. It's just annoying that the gaming industry is becoming what it's become.
Just a bunch of cash grabbing motherfuckers.
Yeah. Well, but prime example. When was the last time a big name developer came out with an original IP? Exactly. It's all sequels of some sort. I mean, GTA 6. You're piggybacking off the Grand Theft Auto IP. Same thing with Red Dead. Now, granted, Red Dead was the first sequel, so that's not a big surprise. But Call of Duty, especially Black Ops, or when they call it Modern Warfare, now you're piggybacking off two IPs. One is the big Call of Duty one, but then a separate IP of either Black Ops or Modern Warfare.
And here's
Assassin's Creed. This is like what, the seventh Assassin's Creed game or something like that?
14th, but
okay. Holy Christ. 14. Goddamn. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, 14.
Fucking A, man. No wonder they've fucking fallen off. Jesus Christ. But again, they're just piggybacking off the Assassin's Creed name, hoping that it would get sales for them.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And here's the issue with them piggybacking off of the shit. Okay, let's say you take Assassin's Creed. Odyssey and Valhalla are not Assassin's Creed games. I don't care what anybody says, they're not Assassin's Creed games. They are, and this is what I've heard, they are pretty good. They're just not Assassin's Creed games. So when you take an IP that's been known to do, single player things where, you're just one character and you're an assassin specifically, you're always an assassin specifically, and then you change it, then it's no longer that IP. Have it under something else, right?
Yeah. Imagine if they made Call of Duty, and instead of being a we'll say war fighter.
You're celebrating kids' birthday party?
Exactly. Yeah. You're a security guard at Five Nights at Freddy's. It's like, this is not Call of Duty. This is not Call of Duty. Or if you're just making the decisions, you're just
or if you're taking a shit on the toilet, the Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Did it at the same time. But yeah.
But if you imagine if Call of Duty is like, oh, we're gonna do a different take. You're just gonna be a general and off the front, 40 miles out away from the front lines in a tent, making all the tactical plays.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
I mean, that sounds like it would be if they did it right. It sounds like it'd be a decent game. But it's
you know what that sounds like? Halo Wars.
But that's not called. But it's not Call of Duty. Let's take for example.
Wasn't Halo either, but
Let's take for example the new the Corvette C7 or whatever the fuck the current generation is. Is that a Corvette, Dylan? That's not a Corvette. No, that's not a Corvette.
That's a poor man's Ferrari right there.
It's poor man's Ferrari. Now, does it still look like it still is a cool looking car?
Oh yeah, It's just not a Corvette.
It's just not a Corvette. As soon as you slap the Corvette name badge on it, it's like, oh, that's not a Corvette. Like, you should have called it something else. Like, because, like, when I first said that, people were like, oh, you just don't like the European style, so you wouldn't like the Ford GT. No, I don't have a problem with the Ford GT because the Ford GT has always looked like that. That kind of more rounded European style supercar or hypercar. It's always looked like that. Now, if they designed if Ford designed a Ford GT and stuck a Mustang badge on it, I'd be pissed as all hell because I'm like, that's not a Mustang. That's not a Mustang. Like, it's like if think of if Chevys took the Camaro badge and slapped it on a Silverado. That's not a fucking Camaro. That's what they did with the Corvette. They took a hypercar that looked cool, but then slapped the Corvette badge on it because they know it would sell because it's a Corvette.
Well,
my
dad said that it's always been a supercar, and I'm like, I looked it up, and it is true. A Corvette has always been a supercar, not considered a muscle car.
Yes,
but it had that muscle car look to it back in like the 70s.
Well, and also too, the biggest difference, like it'd be a supercar. Now most supercars are mid-engined because of weight distribution, right?
Yeah.
What was special about the Corvette is that it was still front engine. And so it was different. The engine was still in the front. Now, with the engine in the middle, now it just looks like a poor man's Ferrari. It doesn't look like a Corvette anymore because it's so much longer now. And it's fat as all hell because it has big ass hips now because it, before you'd have the rear window and basically that would be the back of the car on a Corvette. Now you have the rear window, about 60 more feet of car, and then the back bumper. That's not a Corvette. If they would have called it anything other than a Corvette,
I'd be fine with it being like the Vetra or something. That'd be kind of cool.
It'd be fine. But it's like, don't call
Chevy,
it a Corvette.
don't take my idea, you fucks.
Don't call it a Corvette. Don't call it a Camaro because that's not what they are.
There you go. Call it a Vetra. Boom. Still got that vet in it, but just not a Corvette.
I wouldn't even do that. You don't want to associate it. I wouldn't. You don't want to associate it with Corvette in any way. The only association between a Ford GT and a Mustang is that in a Mustang you could get the GT package. But that doesn't turn it into a Ford GT.
The Ford part.
Yeah, that's the only. But that's other than that is that they were designed by the same probably group of people. That's it though. It's slapping, and that's exactly what the gaming industry is. They're just slapping the IP on a title because they know it will sell and make them money, regardless of
unless
how good
you're
or bad
Ubisoft.
it is. But that's because they've done it so many times that we've caught on to. It's like, but you're not making good games.
Yeah, exactly.
If Call of Duty keeps doing that, I think eventually they'll be like, people will stop by it because it's like, yeah, it's Call of Duty, but it's not a good game. And so why would I buy another game that's exactly the same, if not worse than the previous year, which was worse than the previous year, which was worse than the year before that, which was worse than the year before that? I'll just go back to be playing.
Or just trying to be like the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, where the whole game was pointless. Exactly. The entire game, this is why it fucking bombed. First of all, it was supposedly you killed Arkham Batman, which Arkham Batman in the lore is, I swear to God, that motherfucker is not killable, alright? That dude sends people to the hospital and they're going to be fucking drinking and eating out of a tube for the rest of their lives, all right? You're not dead, but you got brain damage, buddy.
Emotional damage.
So then they came out and said, oh, once you beat the game, you have to save the Justice League. Well, what do you mean by saving the Justice League? Oh, the Justice League you guys supposedly killed, they were just all clones, and you had to save the Justice League. Oh my God, you fucking pussies. You can make a game where you're killing the Justice League, just don't do what Suicide Squad did. That game, fucking terrible. Like, you're going to tell me that Arkham Batman's going to sit there and take a bullet to the head by Harley Quinn? Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, you can kill the main protagonists in a video game as long as you do it right.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean, look at let's take Modern Warfare 2, for example.
I'll tell you a good one. Last of Us.
Yeah, there you go. There's a good one too.
Last of Us 2, dude. Oh my god, that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, but exactly. Or you could take the original Modern Warfare 2. Yes, at the end, Soap doesn't die, but it gives you the thought that he does die, because General Shepard at the end of like all that stuff. Yeah. But then Soap does die in Modern Warfare 3, but they did it in a good way because Makarov was the one who essentially kills Soap, not directly, indirectly he does, but it's because Yuri knows Makarov and Soap finds that out, and then the whole thing happens after that. Like, how they killed Soap in the first Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3 game, it was done really, really well. Really, really well. And it was a big build-up, and then he dies, and then it was you had that little moment of sadness where nothing happens, and then shit gets real again. You go over, and then Captain Price slugs your ass down a set of stairs, and then you go through this whole big flashback thing. Like, that was done really well. And then you look at Modern Warfare 3 in 2023, how Soap dies in that one. And it's out of absolutely fucking nowhere. Absolutely out of nowhere. You're just like, what the fuck just happened? What? Like, there's no build up to it at all. You're just in the channel tunnel fighting guys. First of all, with no music at all, so it doesn't sound dramatic at all. And all of a sudden, Makarov shows up, the preteen Makarov, shoots you, and then kills Soap. And it's like, what the fuck just happened? What the fuck just happened?
I think that was the point of like that right there, is to be like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, like, what the fuck was that? What, and that one scene right there epitomized the entire Modern Warfare 3 reboot game. It was just so half-assed done. So poorly done.
I think they should came out and be like, that was a dream sequence, guys. We're gonna redo Modern Warfare 3. Oh, thank God.
No, it's part of the story.
Yeah, now it is. It's you've already fucked it.
It's dumb because it's like, just because you killed him off the first time doesn't mean you need to kill him off a second time.
Example A, fucking Ghost.
Yeah, you didn't kill Ghost off yet. We'll have to fucking wait and see.
They're not going to kill Ghost off. He's too popular.
Soap was too. Yeah, here you are.
Well, I like Soap because of his accent, dude. That fucking accent. Oh my God, dude.
I liked Soap in Ghost and Modern Warfare 2 because they had good banter amongst each other, back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
But Soap, to me, didn't feel like Soap from the first Modern Warfare series, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But when everybody else is kind of the same, then it just seems weird. Price is kind of the same in the current Modern Warfare as he was into the original Modern Warfare series.
I think Ghost is different. Ghost is...
Well, like you didn't really... Because, Ghost only made it halfway to 2/3 through the second game.
Right. But
he didn't really have much of a presence to begin... As much of a presence... in the first series, compared to the current Modern Warfare series.
Right, but I'm saying, like, if you take a look at him, everybody, loved Ghost because he's this mysterious character. All you know is that his name is Simon Riley, and that is it.
Yeah.
And this one, he's like a badass motherfucker coming out of nowhere. Is like, yeah, I'm Ghost. I'll fucking kill you 3 ways to Sunday, bitch.
I think he kind of had that in the first series of games too.
I don't know. It's been so long since I've played it. I'd have to replay it to see it, but
again, in the first ones, he didn't have nearly as much of a presence as he does now, and so that's why now it feels like a bigger deal. Is because it's the story more circles around it because it's more of the Ghost and Soap story, stuff like that.
I think all in all, like I think they did a good job with like redoing the characters. Like, you still have that same vibe. I guess with Soap, yeah, you could say that it's not really Soap. But in my opinion, I think it's Soap. I think they did a good job doing that, and then Modern Warfare 3 came out, and I was just like, this is fucking not good.
Yeah, well, it's if you play Modern Warfare 2,
I thought it was
because remember in the first Modern Warfare game, you actually play as Soap.
Oh, you play as Gaz and then you play Soap, yeah.
Right, but you start off as Soap because when you go through the training thing, you talk to pricing like, what the hell kind of name is Soap anyways?
Oh yeah, in the first one, yeah.
Yeah, in the first game you play
the first original
the
one,
original Modern Warfare game in 2007 or whenever it came out. You play as Soap, but then in the second one you play as Roach, and you play with Soap, or you play with Soap a couple of times in a couple of missions or whatever like that. And he kind of had a more masculine or mantra presence in the original games than he does in the reboots. And I think it might be because, like obviously in both games, Captain Price. He's top.
Bravo 6. Going Doc.
Yeah, but but in the first games, it wasn't. I don't know if the hierarchy was really Price, Ghost, and then Soap. But in the second games, it is. It's Price, Ghost, and Soap in the hierarchy of things. And so I think it's almost like Soap in the reboot is a little more childish, I guess you could say.
I think that's kind of the point, because you have Captain, Lieutenant, Sergeant, and if you, not dissing on the military or anything, but the military, that's the only time they get serious is when it's time to get serious. Otherwise, they fuck around. Oh my God.
Right, but
dude, we're going worldwide.
I don't know. It's
sorry.
To me, like I said, it's fine.
I'll say it in a minute.
Again, it's fine if you don't make the characters the same if you do a reboot. But when you have all the characters the same except for one, then it's just weird.
Yeah.
It's just weird, And then to kill him off in such a bad way, it's like, can we kill off Sledgehammer?
Yeah. Fuck them guys, dude. Fuck them.
It's just depressing. So, boy, what a freaking stir around where that was. But that's kind of what the whole auto show, circling back to what we started with the whole auto show trip. That's kind of what we did during the auto show is we'd go sit in cool cars or look at, cool cars and what the automakers are doing. But it's just kind of us bullshitting around the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It was fun.